Hey, here we go. Good. Here we go. Now you can start.
Hello everyone, I'm Yuki. Today I'm going to talk about the Great Depression and 2000 economic recession. The reason why I choose this topic is to examine the similar tendencies of economic downturns. So please note that there is a similar tendency of economic downturn in terms of stock market, development of new technology, and housing prices. So let's get started. This is the outline of my presentation. First of all, overview of the Great Depression, and secondly, overview of the recent economic recession, that is, this recession caused by collapse of the dot-com bubble in 2000 and the Great Recession. And third, compare causes of the Great Depression with that of recent economic recession. Fourth, analyze correlation between Great Recession and the recent economic recession in terms of stock market by using auto-regression moving average analysis. This is a time series of analysis. And finally, I'll show you my conclusion. So this is an overview of the Great Depression. The Great Depression is that it was by far the worst economic catastrophe of the 20th century and perhaps the worst in the US history. In the United States, the quantity of goods and services declined by 1/3. Unemployment rate rose by 25%. This is the worst unemployment rate in the US history. And the stock market lost its value by about 80%, while 7,000 banks failed. And let's move on to this is a change in stock prices in the Great Depression. Then I'll show you overview of the recent economic recession, that is recent recession caused by collapse of dot-com bubble in 2000 and the Great Recession. Overview of dot-com bubble. In the late 1990s, many companies were founded which used new technology in their business, that is a personal computer and internet. In the period, many famous internet-based companies or IT industries such as Google or Amazon or Yahoo appeared, and at the same time, due to appearance of many new internet-based companies and increase in people use of the internet, investors and venture capitalists are eager to buy stock issued by them with less cautious than usual. As a result, stock prices rose rapidly in the late 1990s after March stock market collapse. This is a change in price of stocks in the late 1990s to 2003. March 10 in 2000 experienced the highest price of $5,048.62, and October 9 in 2002 experienced the lowest price of $1,114.11. And overview of the Great Recession. The Great Recession was a period of general economic decline observed in the world markets during the late 20th and early 2010s. The scale and the timing of the recession varied from country to country. And in terms of overall impact, the International Monetary Fund concluded that it was the worst global recession since the 1930s, that is the Great Depression. So, to examine the similarities of similar tendencies of these economic downturns, we have to know the causes of each factor of the Great Depression, Great Recession, and the dot-com bubbles. So first of all, I'll show you the causes of the Great Depression. First of all, a large decline in spendings on goods and services. There's three channels. Downward shift in the consumption function caused the contractionary shift in the IS curve, and the bank's failure discouraged many companies to invest. And third, the fiscal policy in the 1930s contributed to shift in the IS curve, and a large drop in investment in housing. The 1920s can definitely be regarded as a real estate boom. According to some study and data, in the US, it turned out that real house prices increased by more than 40% from 1921 to 1926. More people bought houses by having a mortgage debt. As a result, in the decade between 1920 to 1929, mortgage debt increased by annual average 30.92%. This correspondingly increased mortgage financing from 40% to 60% in the 1920s. Loan-to-value ratio in this period increased from 10% to 30%. The rapid increase in household mortgage debt and the rising aggregate loan-to-value ratio made homeowners and lenders' attitude concerning mortgage indebtedness. This concern caused price of real estate to decline. Decline in price of real estate had a negative impact on the US economy through some channels. One, precipitate mortgage refinancing and repayment problem. Mortgage default impair balance sheet of financial intermediaries which sit with credit supply, and decline in housing prices lead to less consumer spending. And monetary contraction. The US Federal Reserve raised interest rates and reduced the money supply in response to the UK leaving the gold standard in the 1931. Although the Fed feared a run on gold held by the US, this policy proved to be dramatically inappropriate monetary contraction during the downturn. And finally, the stock market crash in 1929. To discuss the stock market crash of 1929, we have to look at the background of the US economy's prosperity. There were huge technological developments before the US experienced and enjoyed their economic thrive. The technological development enabled many new businesses to be appeared. How? This is a line shaft system that Dr. Tofumaia taught us. Shift from steam to electronic power in manufacturing in 1818 to 1920, because thanks to the development of line shaft system. So this is the features of line shaft systems. Line shaft system provided a direct mechanical link to power sources. Typical power source was water or steam. A large friction losses. Main system continually rotated regardless of the number of machines being used. A breakdown in neither the power unit or the line shaft caused a breakdown in the entire room of machines until repairs could be made. System required a large number of machinery operators and oilers. The flexibility once plant is constructed. Extensive plant infrastructure required. Impossible to create an assembly line under such a system. Line shaft system enabled industries to work as following. Processed energy forms produce increased thermal efficiency. What is the thermal efficiency? Thermal efficiency is ratio between useful output of a device and the input in energy form. Q equal quantity of heat input in heat energy, and W is mechanical work, which is output, and eta is thermal efficiency that I talked about. So if the thermal efficiency is increased, as you can see, the W is also correspondingly increased. That is, output is increased. This shift from steam engine to electronic power was important because natural gas, internal combustion, fuel, and electricity could be used with greater thermal efficiency than the low energy forms they replaced. This efficiency translated into greater units of output per unit of input employed. So shift from steam. A line shaft is a power driven rotating shaft for power transmission that was used extensively from the Industrial Revolution until the early 20th century. Prior to widespread use of electric motors, small enough to be connected directly to each piece of machinery, line shafting was used to distribute power from a large central power source to machinery throughout a workshop or an industrial complex. The central power source could be a water wheel, turbine, windmill, animal power, or steam engine. Power was distributed from the shaft to the machinery by a system of belts, fluids, and gears known as a millwork. Then I want to talk about the presence in electronic group drive in the early 20th century. By the early 20th century, manufacturers began to realize that the indirect savings from the use of electronic group drives. It also enabled the reduction in fire risks as fluids and belts did not need to be extended between floors. The development of electronic group drive led to smaller on-site power plants later enables lighter factory buildings to be constructed. Indirect savings began to be seen as a lever to increase production. And how? Indirect savings began to be seen as a lever to increase production. Flexibility in designing buildings and arrangement of machinery, usefulness of all factory space equally, increasing space per unit of factory space, improvement in working environment, dramatic reduction in the use of oil. The end result was that electricity came out to be a factor in improving overall efficiency. The spread of electronic group drive in the 1909 to 1919 decade and increase in the total capacity for driving machinery from 25% to 53%. There were dramatic changes in the electricity supply between 1909 and 1919. In 1909, 64% of motor capacity in manufacturing establishments were powered by on-site electricity. By 1990, 57% of motor capacity in manufacturing establishments was generated by off-site utilities. There was a dramatic expansion of electronic utilities during the 1910s. So, as technological development here, electronic utilities development enabled firms to produce outputs more efficiently and reduce the cost of producing goods. Many new manufacturing industries, such as automobile industries, there's a famous automobile industry. Ford was born in this era. People enjoyed brand new goods and mass production and mass consumption brought about very huge economic success in the United States. because of appearance of many new business and economic success, investors were eager to buy stocks issued by firms, and the stock prices continued rising. However, in 1929, people realized that economy was shrinking and started selling their own stocks. On October 24th, the day known as Black Thursday, people sold the stocks at once. As a result, stock price sharply declined and a number of companies collapsed. These two graphs show the change in stock prices and inflation rate of stock prices. Until 1929, the stock prices continued rising, and on the Black Thursday in 1929, the price of stock declined sharply, as you can see in the graph. So these are causes of the Great Depression. Let's move on to the causes of the dot-com bubble. Development of personal computer and internet, and appearance of many businesses using internet and increasing people using internet. Stock market crash of 20s caused by speculation. So, I want to firstly talk about the development of personal computer and internet. The dot-com bubble was absolutely caused by development and miniaturization of personal computer and increase in use of internet by people and businesses. So we have to look at the development of computers. Development of computers in 1950s termed the second generation computing. Computer technology developed rapidly. The development of random access memory, which is known as RAM, helped computer technology develop. The introduction of high-level programming languages and the replacement of vacuum tubes by transistors, a transition made in the later part of this period. This is the vacuum tube and transistor. And between 1963 and 1972, termed the third generation computers, dramatic improvement in integrated circuits, IC, memory based on semiconductor began replacing magnetic core memory and the introduction of, it's not all, it's all operating system. Integrated circuits involved placing multiple electronic transistor circuits on a single semiconductor chip. And between 1972 and 1984, some of the fourth generation computers, introduction of large-scale integrated and very large-scale integration led to miniaturization of computers dramatically. This miniaturization led to the development of the personal computer. And 1985 to present, termed the fifth generation of computers. The fifth generation of computer has seen massive expansion of the personal computer, the development of the internet, the development of the laptop computer, and the extension of computer technology into the life of the average person. So, secondly, I want to talk about the appearance of many businesses using internet and increasing people using internet. The graph to the right shows the shift in the number of people using the internet in the period from 1993 to 2017. Now, internet is used by more than 3 billion people. But I want to focus on the dot-com bubble, so I extract some data from that data. I want to focus on the number of internet users between 1995 to 2000. The graph to the right shows shift in the number of internet users in the period from 1995 to 2000. As you can see the below graph, in 1995 to 2000, the number of internet users is about 20 times, more than 20 times. I'm sorry, just less than 20 times. And many companies using the internet and IT industry was developed in 1994, as you know, famous IT industry Amazon.com established. In 1995, Yahoo established. In 1997, Netflix established. In 1998, as we use every day, Google established. And sadly, I have to look at the stock market crash in 2000 caused by speculation. So, as we have seen, late 1990s experienced the increase in number of internet users, and in 2000, March 10th, Nasdaq set all-time closing high, $5,048, and then the dot-com bubble was crushed, and in 2002, on October 9, Nasdaq hit a bear market low of $1,114. This is the inflation rate on stock prices. As you can see, the late 1990s experienced a huge development of personal computer and a huge increase in internet users and internet-based companies. Investors and venture capitalists are eager to buy stock issued by them with less cautious than usual. However, in the early 20s, stock market suddenly crashed. As a result, there were almost 56 million people lost their job related to IT industry in the United States. So, let's move on to the causes of the Great Recession. The causes of there are many causes of the Great Recession, but I want to focus on the similar tendencies of the economic downturn. So, I want to focus on the subprime mortgage and crashing of housing prices. And the first one I want to talk about low policy interest rate of FRB caused by 4% dot-com bubble. After 4% dot-com bubble, the US economy had damaged seriously. To recover from economic downturn, the Federal Reserve Bank claimed to conduct monetary easing policy by lowering policy interest rate. But low policy interest rate encouraged people to borrow money to purchase kind of assets such as real estate, housing, and bonds. And secondly, I want to talk about subprime mortgage caused by housing bubble. Thanks to subprime mortgage, people who have low credit could borrow money from and purchase houses. Since borrowers and lenders thought that the price of houses of real estate would keep on rising, and they could repay more and more borrowers borrowed more money from lenders, that is home equity loan. Because of huge demand for real estate, housing starts increased and the price of house rose. Between 2001 and 2006, the real house prices increased approximately 31% in in real term. This is the structure of the subprime mortgage brought by the housing bubble. Banks lend people who have a high credit rate. That is a subprime lender. And subprime lender want to make quick bucks, so they lend the money to subprime borrowers. And subprime borrowers with low credit rate and unstable income take high interest to buy home, since banks won't lend them money. And thirdly, stagnation and the crash of housing prices. In 2006, as stagnation of housing prices happened, postponement of repayment correspondingly occurred. The end of housing boom feeds into the general economy via three channels. As a household asset value increased due to rising house prices, households spend more money by extracting equity from their asset or sell less. Of course, converse is true when asset value decline. That is, people increase their saving rate and consume less. As increasing house prices during the boom propels the economy, total income will rise. When the trend reverses, sales of existing home will decline. Declining fees are earned by brokers, building inspectors, and mortgage lenders. The end of construction boom also materially damaged the construction industry. And third, as home prices fall and the number of foreclosures rises, financial markets are adversely affected. So here, by far, we have been seeing the causes of each economic downturn. So let's compare causes of the Great Depression with that of recent economic recession. Both we compare Great Depression and the dot-com bubble. Both the 1920s U.S. economy in U.S. economy and the 1990s one experienced bull markets. How come did bull market appear in the two periods in 1920s and 1990s? Remember that in 1920s, many manufacturing industries using new technology, that is electronic utilities, appeared. And remember also that in 1990s, many businesses using new technology, that is personal computer and the internet, appeared. So many kinds of new kind of company is appeared. Many people are eager to invest in those companies, and the stock prices would rise and keep rising, and suddenly crashed. Then, as you can see the graph to the right, there is a serious decline in stock prices of two periods in 1929 and in 2000. Here, I compare the bull market in 1920s with 1990s. This is a similar movement of the stock prices, and the graph above is adjusted for inflation. So this is a similar trend in the stock market between the 1990s and 1920s. And in terms of stock market crash and bear markets, these two periods, 1929 to 1931 and 2000 to 2002, had a similar experience. that is this is a graph that I compared the bear market that started in 1929 and one that started in 2000. This graph shows this graph also shows a similar trend in the bull market in the two periods. So let's move on to the comparison of causes of the Great Depression and the Great Recession. There is a similar trend between the Great Depression and the Great Recession in terms of real estate bubbles and excessive debt. The accumulation of private debt before both which is most profoundly reflected in the accumulation of mortgage debt. At the peak in 1932, loan-to-value ratio is 34.10%. At the peak in 2009, loan-to-value ratio is more than 60%. There is a similar tendency of the value, loan-to-value ratio, rising loan-to-value ratio, and so on. And both before crisis and after crisis, new residential housing units start to have a similar tendency. New housing units peaked at 937,000 in 1925 and fell by 19% to 19,000 until 1933. And new housing units peaked at 2,068,300 at 2005 and declined by 73% to 554,000 in 2009. This is also similar tendency in terms of housing units. And in terms of real values of newly constructed houses, here is a similar tendency between 1920 to 1927 and 2001 to 2007. Between 1921 and 1926, real house prices increased by approximately 40%. Between 2001 and 2006, real house prices increased by approximately 31% in the real term. This trend is also similar. And yes, finally, I want to compare the Great Depression and the dot-com bubble and the Great Recession. When we compare three economic downturns that I have discussed, it is thought that it is tough work to find a similar trend. However, there are some similar trends among three economic downturns. The graph to the right shows income inequality in the US. As you can see, before the Great Depression, the dot-com bubble, and the Great Recession, income equality is higher than any other period. This is a really similar trend of economic downturn. And finally, this is analyze a correlation between the Great Recession and the dot-com bubble in terms of bear market. And so this is my first challenge to conduct an auto-regulation moving average model. So this is a little bit difficult. So I will explain this formula. Phi 1 represents magnitude of effect that figure in two t-1 period has one figure in two. In figure in t, theta represents magnitude of randomness, and epsilon equal error term. Please don't care about the error term. And C is an intercept showing average effect. So, result of ALMA analysis without using incremental difference of two bear markets, that is bear market in 1929 to 1930 in Dow, and a bear market in 2000 to 2002 in Nasdaq. AR1 is in Nasdaq in 2002 is 0.9993, and Dow AR1 in Dow in 1929 to 1931 is 0.9993. This is the same coefficient. This is the same levels of auto-leg ratio. And in terms of MA1, that represents randomness, in Nasdaq is 0.0173, and in Dow 0.0813. This is as you can see, a similar figure, and I can see there is a correlation between these two figures. And the intercept represents the average effect. So in Nasdaq, intercept is 0.3588, and in Dow, intercept is 0.4216. This is also similar figure, so I can see the correlation between the two stock market. And next one is result of ARMA analysis with incremental difference of two bear markets. That is a bear market in 1929 to 1931 in Dow, and the bear market in 2002 in Nasdaq. As a result of calculation, there's really interesting result. In Nasdaq, AR1 is 0.9943, but in Dow, AR1 is minus 0.919979. If I had this sign, this is a similar number, but this the difference of sign is present. So the effect on the magnitude of effect of AR1 is almost the same, but the effect of direction is apparently entirely different. And in terms of MA1 in Nasdaq, minus 0.8053, and while in Dow, MA1 is 0.8214. This is the difference of sign. If I have this sign, there is a similar number, but there is a sign of minus. So the randomness of magnitude of randomness is almost same, but the direction of effect is apparently different. But there is a really similar number in terms of intercept. Intercept means the average, and these two markets have almost the same average. So I can see that these two markets is really similar and have a correlation. So this is my analysis of ARMA model. So finally, conclusion. The economic downturn that I have discussed, the Great Depression, the dot-com bubble, the Great Recession, are complex and multi-faceted event. So there are many causes that I cannot discuss in this presentation. However, I'm confirmed that these economic downturns have kinds of similar tendency, and as my statistical analysis showed, there are correlations between stock market in those periods. We have to take a careful look at not only economic factor, but also other factors such as development of new technology, behavior of investors, and so on, to know what happened in economy, or to perceive the economic downturn. So this is my conclusion. Thank you for listening. This is the difference in my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
My apologies for my ARM analysis. This is really tough work for me to do that.
No, thank you for that. And that is it's certainly a difficult analysis, and I'm trying to figure out why the signs are different. And I suspect the magnitudes are similar because you end up in the same place. I think I'd have to look and see what you're doing there. Now I just want to check. That is the what is that chart? That is that
This one.
that is what? What is that?
This is 1 period.
It's a 1 period difference?
Inflation, no, down in the Nasdaq.
That's 1 period.
Yeah, that's 1 period.
It's interesting. I mean that's not a stationary series.
Yeah.
It's not stationary at all. I mean the thing is the thing when you do, I think when you do this kind of analysis, you need to have a stationary series. You know it's stationary. That because look at the difference in the first part of the period, especially with the Nasdaq, but for both the volatility is much greater than in the end. It's really two different. I mean, they're similar. I think they're similar, although I think the Nasdaq has more. But this it's not it's a fairly. The mean is roughly 0, so that's okay. But the standard deviations are different.
Yes.
So that's it's. I don't think it's stationary. I think what you need to do is do another a second order. You need to. I think one of the things you might have to do is do a second differentiating. The second differencing to get rid of. I think you'll want to check on that. I think what you want to do is do a second differencing or further differencing to get a stationary series. I think you want to look into that because usually when you do most time series, when you do a first difference, the series becomes stationary. But that's not stationary. It's definitely not. Let me go over just the general discussion. I think there's a lot of interesting information here. I think you've got a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I think there's just too many things going on.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of but there's some very interesting. I think there's really 2 or 3 different papers here, and what you want to do. I mean, it's a good general background, but what you really when you're going to do your work in the future, want to make sure that you really get it much more focused than this. I mean, I think you're just trying to pull together so many different things that are that's a bit of a problem. I think you've got a lot of great information here. And some of this is quite new to me. This I know this comes from Thomas Piketty has done a lot of work on income inequality.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting table. But let's go back a little bit. I want to take a little bit of time because and go over this. The one thing that let's see, IS curve. What is IS curve? What do you mean? What is that? The IS.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you define those things. Go back to the start. Yeah. Make sure you put page numbers too. That I don't know what these page numbers are. That's helpful. That's IS.
Good.
What is IS? What does that mean?
Yeah,
It says the contractionary shift in the IS curve. The supply curve,
yeah.
investment supply?
Yes.
Investment supply.
Yes.
That's what that means? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Make sure. Okay, because now, yeah, another thing, the deflation, you've talked about around in terms of the Great Depression and the Great Recession, deflation is the real issue. I would make sure that when you talk about this in the future, you make sure that because it's the impact of deflation. Let's see, go forward. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. In this discussion here, you're talking. Go back to the previous page. Let's go back to the previous page here. Yeah. To bank failure. This produced deflation.
Yes.
And the deflation itself, made it difficult for the loan to be repaid. So the loan, when you have deflation, it's the same problem that you had here in Japan. The problem with deflation, it makes it hard to repay loans. In the 1990s, the real estate collapse in the U.S., any kind of deflation, any kind of experience with deflation is a very serious thing. So make sure you bring that word, because that's what you're talking about here, is the collapse of demand. And you talk about that produces the deflation. That the shift in demand in turn causes the effect of reduced demand, which lowers prices. Reduced demand lowers income. Reduced it's a downward circular. Make sure that you talk about that as part of this process, because that's exactly what happened, especially in 1929 and 1932.
Yeah.
Now the difference in terms of policy, and you did bring this up in terms of the Fed policy 2001 to 2003. The Fed responded in a way that did not make the deflation worse. He said the reducing of interest rates in 2001 to 2003 did not cause, so there was monetary expansion. So it was a loose monetary policy. That was appropriate policy. And you've noted that in 1931, a major event, the contracted policy in terms of the raising of interest rates, because they were worried about the flow of gold. They were worried about the flow of gold because of trade imbalance with the UK. So that was the reason why, and a disastrous impact. You're right. So the two different policies caused the different outcome. There was more deflation in 1931 than you would have had in 2001 with that. The next thing is the you said the economy shrinking in 1929. The economy didn't shrink until after. I'd be careful with using words like that. I don't think the economy was shrinking in October of 1929. You make that. Yeah, be careful with it. And make sure you put page numbers, because we can't. It's hard to go back. No. Right. Okay. I think it's the next page.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's the next page. Okay. No. It's not. Oh, now that you're on this, let's stop here. It says inflation. Those are the same charts.
Yes.
It's not that, that can't be a positive inflation rate. You've got a positive inflation rate throughout the whole period. Prices are falling. That can't be. That's not possible. What is that? That inflation. See that inflation rate? Look.
This is the inflation rate.
Yeah, but no, it's the same chart. It's exactly the same. You just put this, it's exactly the same chart.
Yeah.
Be careful, that. It says inflation rate, that's positive. This is the same, this can't, I don't know what is
This
this?
is a percentage.
No, you know what I think that is?
Really? Yeah.
No, you know what this is? That's not percentage. You've indexed it, yeah, back, so I can show you. See that 1, you're using that as 1, 100, 100, 1, it goes up 4 times. This goes up 4 times. You've got the same table. This is not the inflation rate. This is the same chart, but also, if you're gonna have an inflation rate, then from here, it's gonna be a chart that's gonna look like this. It's gonna look negative. So be careful. This is, I assure you that if you gave this presentation, you're an undergraduate, don't worry about it. This is the time you want to this is great, you're doing this. In graduate school, they're gonna pound you for stuff like this. So this is okay now, don't worry about it. This is the time to make these mistakes. But don't make a mistake like that in graduate school.
Yeah.
Okay? Now,
Thank you.
the next thing is, and he's gonna be a great graduate student, so that's, but he's, I just wanted, so we correct these problems now before you go to graduate school. Right, that's something, I thought it was very, go now to the, go forward. Boy, just for the page numbers. Yeah, but here, again, something's wrong here. Something really, again, you got the same prop, see it's the same table. It can't be the same change in the number of internet. It can't be. I don't know what you be careful here, because that's 100% increase.
Yes.
That's more than, I can look at that and see it's 100% increase. I mean, knock your head. Be careful.
Yeah.
If I could see that, you gotta be careful. That's 100% increase, 100% increase. 100% each year, it's almost 100%. These 3 years, it's 100% increase. It's not,
Yeah.
where did you get, what is that? It's something else. I don't know what it is, because it's the same, it looks like the same. Be careful. Yeah, I can just look at those numbers and see it's 100%, so be careful. The next thing is, I found, see, this is the problem, you mixed up a lot of stuff here. Go to the housing price. Yeah, let's see, yeah, but make sure you put that in a chart. That's, yeah, I mean, I can see it, and I can see what's going on there, but it's kind of like, okay.
Oh yeah, this is.
Yeah, I know, you'd want to put that in a graph. Yeah, do that next time. Okay, go forward, go, yeah, let's see. This, go again, go, yeah, this, that, okay?
Yeah, this is that.
I would put, this is, start there, and have the same scale. See, you've got 1990, 1994, 1924, see, this is 13 years and that's 9 years. Make it 9 years, or make it 13. Because if you do that, it's going to have the same, so it really is, it's very, very similar, but you make it look different.
Yeah.
With a different scale. Make sure you got the same scale.
Yes.
Okay. That's the next thing. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me just, one last thing, I just want to go through one last thing. Let me, sorry, I don't want to, it's just that I want to make sure that you make a very interesting, yeah, see, it's the same figure. You just repeat, okay. You just repeated it. Look at that. I thought it was, Yeah, the thermal efficiency, it's an interesting point, but it's not very important. Thermal efficiency had very little to do with, thermal efficiency meant it's just more efficient use of energy and the lowering of that. The problem, it wasn't the major impact. So be careful about that. Yeah, so be careful about that. I thought this was very, now this is very interesting. You note this. I think this is you've made something very interesting here, which I like what you've done here, but the problem is that this scale is 1921, 2001, 1921, 2001 to 2009, 1929. But the stock market comparison you're doing is the 1920s to the 1990s. See, do you see that? It's kind of two different things. So that's one of the reasons why you want, this is really about 3 different papers here. This is really, this is very interesting. I didn't know, I wasn't aware of this. So this is very interesting, that the 1920s, that the housing starts, and all of that is, with the 2000s is similar. That's very interesting. But it doesn't quite match up with the 1920s stock market and the 1990s stock market. It is very interesting. So, but in the mixing those in the paper, it's like, well, why did this happen? In other words, why did this happen in 1921? And the comparison is not with what happened in the 2000s, or the 1990s and the 1920s in the stock market, because it's a little bit different. So I think it's very interesting, but I'm not, as I say, it's kind of 2 different papers. I think there's a lot of great work here. You've done a lot of exploration. You brought up some interesting points. The future, narrow that down. Be very careful about your charts. Make sure that they, I think you put. And I think part of this is you just got so much stuff that you're trying to. You got so much stuff here, and I think that's part of the problem. Is you got a little bit of time. You're doing so much, and so there's those kinds of mistakes. So make sure you focus. That this I hope that's what you've learned from this. I think you've got tremendous potential. There's a lot of good work here, and this is a great time to make these kind of mistakes. Don't worry about this. You've done a lot of good research. So keep that, but also remember the points that it's great you can make this mistake now. This is fine. Learn from this, so that you'll really.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm sorry. No. Okay. Let me just.